go, we all hit record, okay?
Yep.
Sure.
Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yay.
We're recording.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, here we go.
I'm seeing waveforms, so that's a good sign.
All right, that's good to hear. All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome to That Pixel Life, the gaming podcast that's rolling the dice, taking risks for those dirt cheap copies of Darksiders 3.
Yeah.
Sorry, Zach, that didn't work out for you.
Well, I knew it wouldn't, but I had to try.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, we're talking about Microsoft screwed the pooch and put a 3-pack of all the Darksiders games for only like $40, and they messed up. They only meant the first two, and so
and also it included.
Bummer.
Not just in it. So yeah, that was rad.
Yeah. Oh well. Microsoft does that quite often. They're always having screw ups on the prices and never honoring them. So it's kind of to be expected. So anyways, this episode is number 14. And this week we're going to be going over some of the latest news in the industry, including we're going to talk about this generation of gaming and the biggest surprises that happen to come out of it. We're at the tail end of this current generation, so we thought it'd be fun to sort of break things down that occurred and released and caught us by surprise. So we'll get into that here shortly. Don't forget to head over to thatpixellife.com for more from us and links that you may be interested in, including following us on Twitter at thatpixellife. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, check out video versions of the show. You can check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/thatpixellife. You can also subscribe to the show via iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, the whole shebang. We're all there. Don't forget to drop us some iTunes reviews as well if you guys don't mind. My name is Josh Faulkner. Thank you guys for tuning in again this week. If you're new to the show, thank you for listening. Hopefully you enjoy what you hear. Don't forget to give us some feedback on the links that I just said just a minute ago. Hopefully you can let us know how we're doing. We got Zach Anderson here. Hi, Zach.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Wonderful. How are you, sir?
Outside of my awful knee,
yeah,
I'm doing all right.
Okay.
Me and
bothering you?
Oh yeah. Me and Chris from the Control C and Gaming Dad 101 podcast were going back and forth on Twitter today, sharing that we're old and dad stories. It was heartwarming to know I wasn't the only one.
Nice. Well, that sucks about your knee, man. Hopefully it gets better. Is there like a healing time that you have here that you're expecting?
I got to go see someone that is probably going to tell me.
Zach, we're losing you, buddy.
Oh, yeah, this is getting really laggy, and I don't really know why. But let me see if I can change some things real quick.
Sure.
I said, yeah, no, I got to. I have to go see someone else that'll tell me I need surgery, and then that'll tell me the real time I need to recover. So,
gotcha. That's
good.
A bummer,
good
man.
times. Good times.
Hopefully, it's nothing major. Hopefully, it's like an outpatient surgery or something.
Yeah, hopefully, we will. We will all find out together. I'm assuming soon.
Gotcha. We got Shannon Moore here as well. Hello, Shannon.
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Can I just tell you though, I got a fever, and the only thing that fixes this fever is more shiny Squirtles.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Did they get you
Oh,
hooked?
rage.
I'm back on the boat, dude. Like I can't not quit this game anymore. Like
Yes,
I went out with Zach over the weekend for a community day, and it was pretty fun. So I think I'm back into Pokemon Go pretty hardcore now.
Wait, was this like a nationwide community day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even know this.
So they do once a month is community days, and they'll pick something that's kind of hard to get. Like this community day was Squirtles, and for 3 hours they're just everywhere. You can catch like literally hundreds of them. Like as much as you have time, you can catch them, and they boost the amount of shinies that are available. And then like this one, there was also research you could do that had Squirtles wearing sunglasses, Squirtle Squad style from the old cartoon. So you could do all that.
Wow. So are like shiny Pokemon like the hologram card of the pack sort of situation?
Exactly. Yeah, they're the rare variant, you know.
Okay.
but yeah, so we went out. So my kid, who's 4, is super into it, and my wife is like crazy into Pokemon Go. And so, see, Shannon was hanging out with me and my wife, and like, if you hang out with my wife while she's playing this game, like, she's super intense. And so Shannon learned real quick, like, you either sink or swim when you hang out with my wife when she's doing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he ended up swimming, but now the addiction is real. Like, he's back on that horse, man.
Wow, I should really just install that again on my phone. I haven't touched it since it released.
One of us.
Yeah.
One of us.
Well, I'll tell you what Shannon told me, which is, and Shannon can speak for himself here in a second, is this is a way different game than when they first released it. Like,
Okay.
there's a
Oh, go ahead.
I just said there's just a lot more going on than we use.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's crazy. There's like raids. There, people can send each other gifts. You can there's a lot of ways to level up now in the game that make it a lot more fun. There's like challenges that you get when you hit. There's like research that you get when you hit Pokestops and things like that. And the building I'm working at right now just happens to have a gym in it that is pretty frequent. That's pretty active. There's always people like dueling and battling and putting in, like, it's always switching factions, and there's a stop in my building too, so like I just spam it pretty much like every day. So it's I mean, it's fun that it's accessible and simple, but like also, yeah, it's got its hooks in me. I think I'm gonna get the Pokemon Go Plus thing next.
Yes.
Wow. I work in a hospital, and you'll be surprised how many people are walking around the hospital playing it. Kind of funny.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like for the community day, like when I rolled up to this spot that he wanted to go to, I opened up my app and I was like, oh, there's not really much going on here. And then all of a sudden, like the whole place just got littered with like Pokemon. And like the more you started to look around at the people that were there, the more you noticed that everybody was intently staring at their phone, and they were all tapping and throwing their Pokeballs. Like it became pretty insane to see how big of a following there still is on Pokemon Go. Like I thought it had fallen off, like from the hysteria from when it came out like 2 years ago, but still it's got a huge following. And to watch like the it all come together with Zach's wife, like navigating the Discord channels and getting people together to do raids on like large bosses. It was just, it was fun. It was crazy. It's fun to be with people who know how to play the game and have been in it in a while. So it's definitely something I'll probably be continuing to play for a long time.
Cool. And we don't want to forget about Elena over there. She's here as well. Hello, Elena Grimm.
Hey. I'm just smiling happily over here, just hearing how Shannon's got, his shiny Squirtle, and Zach's got his shiny Charmander, and I'm sitting over here shinyless and just staring at the palms of my hands with nothing. It's, it might boost the shiny rate for you guys, but I genuinely feel like it does not for me. So I'm happy for you. And I do start every morning, Shannon, with a cup of coffee and a gift to send to you. So I hope you appreciate my 2 Pokeballs and my Max Revive. I hope you appreciate it.
Oh, I do. It's the same thing every morning. I just hit that Pokestop and I get my present and I send them out to you and Zach.
Yep. And now we are the Powerpuff Girls, and now all I need is my shiny. now all I need is my shiny Bulbasaur, and we'll be complete. And then we bring Josh in with that shiny Pikachu, and it's over.
Elena, I could trade you one.
It's not the same, man.
That's
it's not
cheating.
And also,
thrill of the
so
hunt,
much
man.
money.
Thrill
That's
of the
true
hunt.
too.
I'm downloading this on my phone again right now. You guys are just
Oh, we're watching it. We're watching it live. You guys.
live right here. Here we go. I'm downloading it.
Too
Pokemon
cool.
Go.
So,
Okay.
Shannon, I wanted to ask, do you plan on waiting for the new iteration of the Pokemon Go Plus, or are you gonna buy multiple? Are you gonna buy the janky one that's out right now?
No, I think I'm gonna wait.
I would wait too. Yeah. I can't wait. It's going to be so much better. I really think they're going to do a service to the hardware this time around rather than the joke that it is.
Yeah, but I mean, still, just the overall benefits of it. It's still based upon what I've been reading about, like what you can set it up to do. It does what I would want it to do, because I would just want it to spin all the Pokestops it can.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily want it to catch all the Pokemons. I just want it to spin the stops. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I don't know. Like I've said things before on this show where like, oh, I'm not gonna buy it, and then like a week later, I've bought it because I'm a weak-willed person.
We've all done that at this point.
but yeah, I think I think I don't know. We'll see how bad the urge to get good at Pokemon goes, fills me, and we'll see what I do.
Nice. We get
Gotcha.
closer every day.
Well, this is turning into PokeCast very fast. So, all right. So, just to let you guys know before we move on to this week's topics, we are having some changes that are going on in the month of July that's going to help improve that Pixel Life overall. One of those changes is that we are changing the scheduling up on how we record and produce these episodes each week. Now, most people that listen to this show are not going to notice anything. This is mainly just stuff in the background, and you'll get the show on Thursday mornings, just like you always do going forward. So you won't see any difference there. But our Patreon subscribers will notice some differences, and they're actually getting a few more incentives out of this as well. So we're basically just recording on Tuesdays now, and then we're going to do all of our editing and everything on Wednesdays, and then release the show on Thursday. That way, I'm not staying up till 2 a.m. recording the show and getting like 3 hours of sleep and yeah, about to die on Thursday morning. So, and just for other reasons too, I guess easier for Zach to record on Tuesdays and the Patreon supporters will get early access to the stuff. And it's just going to work out much easier for everyone. It's just a benefit. So that's one thing we're doing. Next up, we are experimenting with our audio quality, starting with this episode. So if you guys are listening, hopefully you will notice a lot better audio quality coming out of this podcast. If not, that means we screwed up and we got to go back to drawing board. But we are giving it a shot, and hopefully you will notice a lot more clear audio this time around. And that also requires more editing time. So that's another reason why we need to kind of change up the scheduling on how we produce this show each week. So give us more time to edit and clean up that show with the new editing methods that we're using. Also, we started a website project as well. So that pixellife.com is no longer just tied to a Podbean account. We have our very own website and is very much under construction right now. So as I work on it, the updates are live, so you guys can see the work in progress if you go to that pixellife.com and see it kind of grow each day and each week. It's going to take me probably about a month to get it where I want it, but as of right now, you can go there and check it out, what's there already, and kind of see the progress on it as we do it. So that's kind of cool as well. So we'll go more into details of the features that will be on that website as we implement them, but I just want to let everyone know that is happening. So we'll have a central hub for all things Gaming Outsider that people can go to, and that also gets us more exposure through search engines and stuff like that, and hopefully it gets us out to more people. So that is happening right now. All right, so let's move on to our industry buzz section now. Elena, I want to go ahead and throw this one to you because I know that you were really excited about this one. You want to go on and tell us about what's going on with that breast cancer drive at Overwatch?
Yeah, we just got word back that the Overwatch breast cancer drive has raised $12.7 million, and that is the biggest charity drive in Blizzard's history, which is pretty incredible. 100% of their proceeds went to charity for the BCRF, the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, and they were selling, I think the skin went for $15. It was a beautiful skin that everybody in the entire community, regardless of your feelings about Mercy, because I know people who hate playing as Mercy who spent $15. I know people who aren't the biggest fan, and they were like, you know what, I'm gonna be a Mercy main and I'm gonna test this out. And they really got enthusiastic about doing good in the community, and it became a really positive experience for everybody while it was happening. And I think they were selling $30 shirts as well, but again, I can't say this enough, that 100% of the proceeds went to charity, that Blizzard didn't take anything, like, at all.
Yeah. Well, there was a rumor that PlayStation was trying to take a cut of it with the sales, but hopefully that wasn't true. That
suits their rhetoric right now, doesn't it? Just kind of.
Yeah, like they were taking a cut of it. I don't know. I know that was rumored that was happening, but I don't know if that was proven. So I don't want to say that was happening, but I remember that was like a small controversy during this whole thing. But I mean, $15. I mean, it is for charity, but honestly, like, I mean, that's about the price that you can buy a skin on Fortnite. So I mean, that's not out of an ordinary for a skin in a game like this. So you get a cool skin, and it all goes to charity. And if I was actually playing Overwatch at the time, I probably would have bought that skin, but it completely went over my head. I completely forgot that it was happening, and I didn't even have my Overwatch client updated at the time because I was so deep into Fortnite. So I'm actually kind of bummed that I missed this. But did you purchase it, Elena?
I did not, unfortunately. I'm still, working for that promotion. So once that comes, I'm gonna be a little looser with my money. But I do know a lot of people who are more than happy to spend money on this, and it's pretty easy to do something like this when it's all going towards charity.
Awesome.
It's awesome, man.
Absolutely.
It's so cool.
Your favorite games given back.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, we did get an announcement this week that Warframe is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and this is being developed by the Panic Button developer that keeps releasing all those Bethesda games. There's really good ports on the Nintendo Switch. Is anybody interested in this at all?
Nah.
I am.
I am too. I played the PC version a little bit, and apparently that was like in its infancy. And apparently that game is drastically different than it was when it released. Like, it's like a Destiny kind of game now.
Yeah. Like I started playing it on the PlayStation 4 when that was pretty much one of the only games that
you're probably not logging into it on the Switch then.
No, I will, because I mean I didn't play that long on the PlayStation 4, so I wouldn't mind starting over.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, it's the levels are quick. I think a lot quicker than Destiny. It's almost kind of made the speed run on some levels. And you could get a couple bouts in pretty quick, and as long as they can keep the multiplayer aspect fluid, because that's kind of what the game relies on and what makes it fun, then I'd be on board to try it for the Switch.
Are you worried about like the frame rate and stuff?
Yes, but I mean, I'm hoping it's still free to play like it is on the PlayStation 4.
So I don't know anything about Warframe. What kind of game is it?
It is a co-op sort of it's like Destiny. I mean, basically, like, you go on missions and you are these like sort of ninja, weird looking Tim Burton-esque robot looking things. Like, the art and design is really weird in that game. And you take on co-op missions together, and you're like these ninjas, and you have all this parkour and like doing flips and all this kind of crazy stuff, and you got swords and guns and everything. And the game was pretty much just like a linear styled, like, mission based game at first, like online game. And they had like cosmetic DLC and stuff like that, microtransactions, and the game it blew up so much. And a lot of the reason the game blew up was due to Total Biscuit, the guy that passed away, John Bain, recently. And he really jumped on board and got that game a lot of promotion, and it blew up thanks to him. But the game has drastically been altered in sort of like a Destiny kind of game now. So it has its own open world, apparently. And there's like more of a Destiny kind of setup going on here, and a lot of people play this game, and a lot of people really like it, and I'm really curious to see how it translates to the Switch.
Yeah, and each they keep supporting it by putting out different skins for you to purchase, and each skin plays drastically different than the other one. So, like the first original ones that came out, there was one that was more like a ninja type that focused more on melee and using swords than gunplay, and then there was one that was just a straight up the exact opposite. Like, it was a distance, you just shot things, and if something got close, you were pretty much in trouble. And then there's one that was kind of a blend in between, and those were like the first three that you could get. But now there's like a whole slew of skins that you can get, and they all operate differently, and they all have their different skill sets, and they all have different power ups. So it's I mean, they keep the carrot on the stick pretty well balanced. It doesn't feel like you need to buy things to enjoy the game, which is one of the things I was really worried about when I first started playing it. But right now, you could grind pretty fast to get some of the things that you want. Some of the more rare or intricate skins, you definitely have to buy. But if you wanted to put in the time, you could probably grind it out too.
Yeah, I actually downloaded this game on PC this week. I haven't played it yet. I actually forgot until I read this that I even had it on my computer. But I did play it on PS4 when it first came out. And I had a lot of fun with it, but I didn't put a whole lot of time into it. So now I have it on PC. I'm gonna dabble in it in PC and see how it's changed. But yeah, Shannon, we should get some games going on this when it comes out.
Yeah, dude, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm very much interested in playing that on the Switch as well. So
yeah, the bummer is it's not coming out until like September or something. I want to say, right? It's like it's a ways off. I mean, on the Nintendo eShop, it still says to be determined for the release date. So kind of bummed it's going to take a while for it to come out, but at the same time, it's something to look forward to. That's free. That's not going to break the bank. When all these other games start coming out that I'm shelling cash out for.
Gotcha. Now, Darksiders 3 is officially releasing this year, November 27th. That caught me by surprise. I didn't think that game was going to hit this year at all. They announced.
I didn't either. Yeah.
They announced 3 editions, including a $400 one that has 3 statues. That is the one Zach's buying, right?
No. I do not need statues or anything else in my house, but I'm definitely picking up Darksiders 3. I'm definitely buying the game. Like I really enjoyed the first one. It's the best Zelda game ever made. The second one, I stand by that. It is the most entertaining Zelda game I've ever played. It is great.
What do you mean though? I don't understand.
It's Zelda. I mean, you go through things, you get weapons to access other areas, you open chests, they play a little tune every time you do. Except now you get a gun and a horse that you get to ride and shoot people with. It's amazing. It's just the first Darksiders is straight up Zelda. Like it is. And it's a great one. It's the best one, I would argue. But the second one, they went in the Diablo-esque direction with it, with loot and rarity and all that type of stuff. And there was a lot of really cool ideas there, but they just missed the mark on it. That game got real boring. That was the problem with that one. They made it too big, hoping, and you could tell
bloated.
You could tell their bet was the loot system was going to carry people through that game. And they made it real big to make people want to go explore more and get more loot and do all that stuff. But in the end, you're just stopped caring, or at least I did. I won't speak for you, but I stopped caring as I went along the way.
I finished it. I liked it though. Like I don't hate that game at all. I thought
the combat system in it was great.
Some of the progression was cool too. Like it was sort of pseudo open world and stuff, more of like a Zelda kind of open world kind of thing, where it's like there's like a hub world and everything connects to it. Still very much Zelda-esque, but more of like a loot-based thing, like you're saying. But I enjoyed what I played of it, but for some reason I just wasn't motivated to finish it. So, but I never finished the first one either, and I got really far into that one. I never did.
Man, how did you not? Okay, Shannon, did you beat the first Darksiders?
No.
Oh my god! Oh my! What is even going on?
I don't know. It got boring to me. Like I don't think I enjoyed the combat as much. It became a button masher, I think.
I mean, I'm with you. Zelda sucks. So in that regard,
whoa, hey now.
I'm sorry. Just had to make sure Josh was awake. But but the main issue both those games need editors. That's the problem. They both needed someone to come along the way and be like, yeah, how about we just lose that 2 hours? Just whoosh, right there, But what you're missing is the first Darksiders ends on the biggest, just like, fuck yeah moment. And you are so ready to play Darksiders 2 the second that game ends. And Darksiders 2 does not live up to it in any way. And it's such a bummer. But the ending of Darksiders 1 is just it's so good. It's just so YouTube it if you're not going to play it, but you just need to see it. And when he comes at the end of a 20-hour run through that game, it's even better. But man, they stick the landing on that ending so good. And it's just one of those things that it has always bummed me out that 2 didn't live up to the ending of 1.
So now my question becomes it doesn't seem like there's a lot of hype for the Darksiders 3. And this is basically telling the story of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, right? So I mean, do you think there's enough oomph there to get to the 4th game, or maybe a final game where all 4 of those are playable characters?
Well,
I mean,
they had said originally that was the plan, was there was supposed to be one game per horseman, and then like there was an overarching plan to, because each game was supposed to be kind of different, and then the last game you'd be like blending all these skill sets into one game and go. But then, you know, THQ ceased to exist, and Darksiders 2 didn't sell all that well, and you know, like there were issues there. I'm curious. Originally, 3 was supposed to be the last two horsemen together. It was supposed to be Fury and Death, or no, Fury and whatever the fourth one on for Famine. It was supposed to be Fury and Famine's game together, and then now it's just Fury. So, which leads me to believe they've got at least the funding to make another game after this. And Fury seems to be Kratos, kind of like,
yeah, that's what she looks like. Yeah,
and like the combat style, which I'm kind of all right if they want to make a God of War-ish type game. You know,
she looks more fun. The combat looks more fun in this one to me, but it
looks a little DMC-ish a little bit. You know, or maybe.
It looks like it's adopting the design philosophy of the first one a bit more too.
Yeah, a little more linear, hopefully, which definitely helps.
The only thing I'm concerned about is it comes out this year, and every trailer they've showed are like the same areas. So they're either hiding the rest of the areas in the game, or a lot of the places look kind of the same.
Well, and let's hope they're hiding them because, you know, it's surprising or things of that nature, not because shit ain't done. Yeah, but
we're only finished with 3 of the 7 deadly sins. They're gonna release like a DLC for the rest of them.
yeah, right. We're like, here you can buy the bones of the horsemen. It'll be fun.
I'm just surprised that with how close this game is to being released, that they didn't drop something at E3 or like around it, just to kind of let you know that, hey, this is still here, guys. Like,
yeah, and THQ has a pretty big presence at E3. At least they did in 2017, because Zach and I went to their little behind the scenes, you know, thing, and we talked to some of their developers and stuff.
Yeah, we saw Elix and Spellforce or whatever.
Spellforce, that was it. Yeah, and there's some other games too they had, but we didn't see those. But I mean, yeah, they have a pretty big presence, so I'm surprised. And we got to meet some of the developers that work with that company and stuff, and their PR people. So, I'm surprised this
E3.
I want to go to E3. I want to go to E3.
Hey, that might happen next year, guys.
Oh yeah, let's go to E3. Let's go.
So, but yeah, I'm really shocked they didn't show this at all as well. But maybe they just maybe they're not banking on this game being big. Maybe they just kind of, it was a passion project for them. They're just going to slide it out there. I don't know.
I hope it's not the Duke Nukem Forever of games. You know, like just like we had it 90% done, so we just crapped on the other 10%, and here you go. I hope it's not that. You know.
Well, as long as the crap is kind of spread out through like the majority of the game and the 90%, like, you know, it still sticks to the landing. I mean, you can't really complain about that, right? So you have a couple grindy quests in the middle.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for it though. I like those games.
Oh, so. I'm definitely playing it. I love those games. I
have the remasters of them, and I need to revisit those sometimes. Yeah. I think I have them installed on my PC right now.
Finish the first one.
Was it a long game?
No, I mean, if you that's the thing, is get a guide, mainline it. You can do it in like 10 hours. You know, it's one of those, it's a 15 to 20 hour game if you're kind of just searching around for everything.
Yeah.
But if you're just getting to it, you can get through it pretty quick.
Just getting to it.
Yep.
All right. So now we're going to go to our main topic this week, and this is now Elena and I had a discussion about what generation that we're currently on right now. I think it's Generation 9. She's saying it's Generation 8. Have we gotten confirmation of that?
I think it's Generation 8.
Is it?
I like 8.5.
No, just because Nintendo released a new device that is not as good as the other consoles that were released, that doesn't make it the next generation. Like, hey, we released a Gen 7 device like 5 years too late. Gen 9? no, he means Gen 7.
I'm looking it up right now on Wikipedia, and you guys are absolutely correct. It says this is the 8th generation.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So that is a big old my bad on
Yeah,
that one.
Nintendo released a Gen 7 device that has a screen on it.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make it Gen 9, you know?
We're just hyped for Gen 9, man. Is it time yet? Is it time?
Yeah, right.
It's coming, man.
Mhm.
Let me look at the clock. Nope, not yet.
Not
I
yet.
say 2020 is the year for sure.
Yeah, I think definitely.
So let me correct that. Generation 8. Generation 8. So we are at the tail end of this generation. And, like I said, we got maybe a year or two left of this before new consoles will start cropping up on the market. And so we started thinking about the things that are happening this generation. We thought it'd be fun to discuss the things that surprised us. Now, this doesn't mean that it has to be a game that surprised you. It could be an event that surprised you, or an industry trend or anything like that surprised you as well. And Zach, I believe you came up with this topic, so I'm going to have you start us off with this one. What surprised you?
Because originally when I was thinking about this, it was games is what I was considering mostly, and for me it was things that kind of like Rocket League. I thought was a major surprise for me because it was one of those things where at the time it was a free download on PlayStation Plus. I had never heard about it. All I heard was it was soccer with cars, and I ended up putting a ridiculous amount of time into that game, and it was always fun. It's one of those things I fell out of just because I couldn't get good enough anymore. In the group I was in, I was able to get to the next little level and couldn't progress at all. Like, it was just, so I stopped playing. But that game was always fun. It was always great. I mean,
it's changed a lot since then too.
I should go back to it.
They have like a battle pass like Fortnite has now, and a lot of microtransactions and stuff now. Like,
it was made for it. Like, and that's it, but also I'm gonna roll that into a surprise. This whole style of gaming that hasn't existed until this generation. Your Rocket League, your Fortnite, your battle royales, like all these, Destiny, Warframe, all these games we were talking about that like need a multiplayer base that from a console point of view. Like, these things have existed on PCs in the past, but this was the first time. This generation was the first time it's been a normal thing on consoles, and also a lead thing. Like in the last 2 or 3 threes, that's been a lead product. Destiny, Anthem, PUBG. Like, these are big things that people are throwing out there. And
so you're talking about these games as a service kind of games, right?
Yeah, and for me, even though I probably should have, I kind of just didn't see it coming as that being the thing.
Yeah,
like that, the model changing that much, and it really has.
See, I listed this as one of mine as well, but more as how games as a service has even taken over single player games. Like, look at the Assassin's Creed games now, where they have a whole storefront, or how you can get through all the bloat in that game on a faster pace. And Shadow of War was one of the biggest examples of that. And how they're integrating that games as a service model into single player games now, and how true single player games are kind of being shunned this generation. I thought that was kind of surprising too.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely an eye opener, if nothing else, to see. And I think it's all kind of goes back to that $60 price point. Games are really expensive, and these people are trying to find some way to make more money. Something, just anything to keep you with that game, so you don't sell it back, so you'll keep giving them money.
Yeah,
and it seems to be better than season passes and DLC that no one plays and all that stuff. But getting back to the spirit of the question, I would say hands down, not even thinking about it, one of the biggest gaming surprises in this generation is Resident Evil 7.
Right?
Really?
Yes.
No one thought that game was going to be good. No one did.
Or like that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think that game was gonna. Yeah, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right, Elena. Like 100%.
And having full VR support on top of it, without having to make it like a separate mode or selling it separately or anything like a lot of games do, that was pretty awesome too.
And I mean, I am jaded as hell when it comes to horror. Like, I have seen too many horror movies. Like,
I've seen things, man.
Yeah, like nothing really gets to me anymore. Like, I don't go to any horror movies anymore because I find most of them just boring. You know,
Mhm.
like and there are some moments in that first hour and a half of Resident Evil 7 that get you like that. And part of it's the medium, part of it's because you're in control and you're moving around and you're making the decisions. But man, they nailed it. They just nailed it. And I never saw that coming. It was just like that for me. I could not, the whole time I played Resident Evil 7, I could not believe how good that game was.
It was a game that was really hard to put down too.
Yeah.
Like the progression in that game was it just got the hooks in you. It was hard to put it down. And I loved how it was a huge throwback to the original Resident Evil. There was moments of that game that felt like I was playing that experience again. And that was exactly what I was asking for with those games. And
100%.
coming off of Resident Evil 6 and all of those Revelations games that were very action heavy, it was a huge breath of fresh air. And seeing what we've been seeing from the remake of Resident Evil 2, that seems to be following a very similar design philosophy as well. So I'm really excited for that game.
Yeah,
as well.
so freaking well. And that's the thing is, I'm excited for that game because of Resident Evil 7. Because Resident Evil 7 was so good. Like
same engine too.
Yeah, that game went to the top of my list. So
yeah, I'm super pumped for that one. Anything else?
No, I'll let you guys answer. I don't want to steal. I've already stolen two people's answers, so I'll
All right, Shannon, what's up, man?
The simplest thing, or the first thing that came to my mind was just the resurgence of Nintendo actually putting out something that people want to play.
Sure.
You know, with like the Wii U being such a lame duck, and people always like bagging on it. Like every time, like somebody mentioned like a Wii U, that was like, oh, I was like, you're embarrassed for that person as a gamer sometimes, like when you were talking to him. And I think now with like the Switch, I mean, like it was so widely accepted and like so many people fell in love with that device. It kind of, it put a lot of, you know, new blood into a dying organization. Like we always, if we listen to podcasts from like a year ago, you could hear podcasters saying, oh, I can't wait for Nintendo to just start selling their properties to other developers to have them make the games that we want to play. And now it's kind of come back to look at what Nintendo's doing. They're actually coming out with games we want to play, and they're doing the smart thing, and they're giving some of their titles to developers like Ubisoft to give us games like Mario and Mario plus Rabbids that we're enjoying. So it's good to see a video game company that we grew up with, that like so much nostalgia and history is with, or that we have with them, actually come back and not just be one of those dying breeds, to actually come back and you know, for me, I hadn't had a Nintendo console like since the Super Nintendo. So, you know, it was fun. It was refreshing. It was great. It hit me at the right time because I just had my son. So,
and you're really into that thing too, man.
Yeah, like I mean,
every week you're talking about Switch shit.
Yeah, and it's I mean, because like I wish their eShop was a little bit more organized and put together and easy to navigate. But
it's been kind of dumpy too. You notice that? Like, there's a lot of shit in that eShop that this looks like it has no appeal whatsoever.
It's becoming very iPhone-ish. You know, like it's becoming very App Store-ish.
Like, we'll take anything, come one, come all.
Yeah. I mean, they're really pushing that Nindies like, you know, development like side where like it's all independence, and they're putting out like it's ridiculous to look at how many games they're releasing on that platform a month. I mean, granted, some of them are ports from like Neo Geo days or things like that, but there's always a steady stream of stuff hitting their store, like more so than the Xbox Live or the Xbox store or the PlayStation store.
To me, it's like the Vita. It's like the new Vita. It's the place where people are playing indie games, preferred, and in a mobile way. But unlike the Vita, it's getting the third party support and the more AAA games and experiences that we all wish the Vita had.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, the one complaint I have about the Switch is that I just wished that it was a more robust machine, that it would have more newer IPs coming to it rather than something that's been out for a year or two on the other consoles.
Yeah,
or 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, I understand that, but I do get why they're releasing so many Wii U games on it though. because a lot of people didn't play those games. And I remember during the Wii U days, Zach was always bitching about how he wanted to play Mario Kart 8, but he refused to buy a Wii U. You know, now he's got a Switch and he can play that game. And a lot of those games that he did want to play but didn't want to buy the hardware for, he can play. That's the same with a lot of people. And there's a lot of games that I really liked on the Wii U. I never hated that console. I always enjoyed it. It just didn't get the support it needed. And being able to get a lot of those games that I enjoyed in that mobile form, like I'm just selling off my Wii U copies and buying the Switch versions. I'm doing that this week with Captain Toad. I love Captain Toad. That game is a blast. And I'm totally buying it again on the Switch, and I sold my Wii U copy to help pay for it. So it makes a lot of sense that they're bringing that stuff over. It's like this is what the Wii U should have been in the first place. And if you guys were around the time when this thing came out, and Zach and I were on the other podcast talking about this game, we were poo-pooing on this thing before it came out. We were expecting the worst, and we were completely wrong, about it. So I agree with you. Yeah, the success of the Switch is a really, really good point this generation.
That podcast we did, the reactionary podcast after they announced what it was, or that press conference, that's still one of my highlights of podcasting. Like, you should have been there while these guys, like, it was like literally talking people off the ledge. Like, they were just so bummed about the Switch, like just so bummed. And I'm sitting there like,
the initial reveal that they did that October was like, everyone's like, oh my God, this looks awesome. And then when they actually revealed went in detail about it, is when everyone was like, oh shit, because it looked like they were just going back to like the Wii days of like, look, motion controls and stuff like that. And everyone's like, no, this is not what we want.
And I'm sitting there on the side kind of laughing like, guys, this Nintendo doing Nintendo shit. Like, I don't know why anyone's shocked. I don't like, shouldn't y'all have been expecting this? It's one of my favorite recordings we've ever done because it was just hilarious. It was just really funny.
Yeah. Shannon, you got anything else?
No, that's all I could really think of. I mean, everything else you've already mentioned, except I'm a lot more bummed that things are going more the multiplayer route, and it seems like things are going to go more, digital copies instead of physical copies. It seems like,
with you people with the physical copies. Man.
I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with that.
Get with the all digital future.
No, dude, I want to sell my games back when I'm done with them. Like, I don't want to like have.
That's why.
But Shannon, then you have shit in your house. Like, come on, man.
How much room does that really take up, dude? Like, seriously. Like, have you seen my shelves behind me? Those are like all DVDs that I'm trying to burn onto my computer. And what am I going to do with them when I have them burned onto my computer? They're still just going to be taking up room, right? I mean, like, might as well just put like one more video game in there. It's just like, who cares? It's a file that's never going to go away. Like,
I am totally on Team Zach with this though, because I used to collect retro games pretty hardcore, and I completely stopped. I even sold off a lot of my collection because I'm just tired of trying to find room for all that shit. And it's the same with CDs. Like, I used to own so many CDs, and I tossed all them shits, and now I just use Spotify. And I am better for it. So I am going to embrace our all digital future when it happens. I know a lot of people argue that it's anti-consumer because they don't have the choice of what to do with the games, and what if the services go down and they don't have access to those games anymore, and blah, 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 so on and so forth. But from what we've seen with PC and stuff like Steam, that hasn't happened yet. And Microsoft doesn't really seem like they're going to let that happen as well. So it's really hard to say, but I want that all digital future to happen.
I'm just going to take my CD Walkman and go over in the corner and listen to my Metallica CDs. Like, it's
my limited edition.
You ever sit and think back, like, how many freaking CDs you used to drive around with?
Oh my God.
Like the visor thing with all the
CDs. No, not the visor. I had the books, man. The big books.
Spend a half hour in your car looking at the CDs before you even took before you even put your foot on the gas pedal to get out of there, because you needed the perfect driving mix.
And then,
they were like those 200 CD like portfolio looking thing.
Yeah, your collection, your 1998 Summer Jams mix.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When I was in high school, I didn't even have burners weren't a thing yet. So it was
That's what I
like
was about to say. Man, remember when CD burners came out and everyone ate shit and was just burning CDs for everyone?
Yeah,
It was like it was the coolest thing. And you're spreading everything around. Like, oh man, that was fun.
Dude, you're like the black market peddler. Like you
Yeah.
opening up your trench coat in gym class. You're just like, hey, here's a whole bunch of CDs. You want that new Def Leppard or I don't know, whatever.
I got that Huba stank, son.
Oh my god.
What are you buying?
Want to hear that new Crazy Town CD?
What are you buying?
Yes.
Yeah, I had so many, but and Lars Ulrich was like in his mansion, fucking crying and screaming the whole time we were doing that. So,
Party pooper.
Good times.
Yep. For me, I have a few things here. So, number one, in terms of games, the Doom 2016 game was a big surprise for me.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I really honestly thought that game was going to be another Call of Duty mission-based thing that, every shooter has fallen into nowadays. And the fact that they were able to make a modern shooter and still feel like an old Doom game at the same time, while also kind of throwing a new spin on it that didn't alienate the whole thing, was shocking to me. And Doom 3, I love that game, and everyone seemed to hate it. But I really enjoyed it, but it was a departure from the what people know and love Doom for, because it was more of a horror game. And Doom 2016 was my game of the year that year, and I still play it to this day. I like to load that game up and play like the arcade mode and stuff, and it's a blast, and it's one of my favorite games for this generation, and that shocked me. Also, one of the things that I thought was interesting was how quickly industry trends fall this generation, and how companies seem to be more reactive nowadays and listening to the communities more. Look at games like Battlefront 2 and Shadow of War, No Man's Sky. Like, those games came out, and normally if a game's bad, the publisher just forgets about it and moves on, and the community, just sort of shuns it, and then they move on to the next game and throw that out. Now developers are starting to listen to people more. They're starting to implement the features that people want out of these games that they didn't ship with. Battlefront 2 stripped the loot boxes out and completely redesigned the progression. Shadow of War pulled out all of their microtransactions and loot boxes and are starting to streamline that more. No Man's Sky is integrating all the shit that everyone thought was in the game when it released that wasn't, and now it's becoming a better game for that. Just being more reactive to the community as a whole and morphing the games into what people want is a really big thing that I've noticed this generation that we haven't seen before. Normally the game drops, you either love it or hate it, and you move on. These games, more or less, they sort of morph into something different as they go on, and I think that's kind of cool.
But that's more. Sorry, but I mean that's more with kind of going with games as a service, right? Because because it costs so much to make a game nowadays, and because there's so many people tied to that, and most developers, they only get one shot with a video game. There's not a lot of big, production houses that get a second chance. Usually if that game tanks, you're donezo. So it's, for that game as a service, like if that game comes out and people are complaining about it, you bet your bippy, like you better be getting in there, like switching the stuff that people don't like. It's just
your bippy.
Bet your bippy?
Bet your bippy, dude. So I mean,
new t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on
my list.
On a TPL t-shirt. You bet your bippy, dude.
Bet your bippy, dude. But yeah,
we'll make that after the No Bear That's My Beer shirt.
Oh, there's a list, man.
Dude, we're lighting it up, dude. Go to that marketplace, help us out. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's more catering to that evolution of the gaming industry as a whole. Like you don't have the freedom to just be like, oh well, people are going to buy the next game that we come out with anyway, suckers. No, like people are a lot more frugal with their money, and especially with the other games that are out there with the services that they have. So you have to definitely cater to your market a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, and you bet your bippy. That's true. That's true.
Companies don't seem to like gamers don't seem to sort of let these things slide anymore, and just just seeing all these companies react to them and actually do what people are asking is really surprising to me still. But even some of the services that they throw in, like loot boxes was a big thing this generation, and that's starting to die out because people hated them and they spoke up and companies were like, "Oh, okay, we'll stop doing that." Season
Took them to
passes.
court, man. Yeah, it got that intense.
Well, I think it was also people didn't hate loot boxes. I mean, Overwatch was built on loot boxes. People still like the loot box system in Overwatch. It's more that companies got greedy with loot boxes. You know, that was really more the issue. It was not that people like pulling the lever on the gambling machine. You know, people love going into the casino and pulling the lever and seeing if the sevens pop up. You know, like, so that's fine. But the problem is when you change the percentages where the sevens never come up, and say you can have more spins if you give me $20, that's when it has the problem. You know, that's the issue.
Yeah. I mean, season passes kind of died this gen too. I mean, we still get them sometimes, but a lot of that's another selling point with a lot of games at E3 this year. No season pass, so you know that's cool too. Another thing that was really surprised me this year is just how insane the patches and the install sizes have gotten in games.
Right.
Especially on Xbox One. Like, it's just a free-for-all on that console, especially since the X came out and they're having 4K assets in these games. Like, these games are upwards to 100 gigs a piece now. And I think that's kind of gotten out of control. Like, what happened to compression? Like, I know that they want to uncompress, like, audio and stuff so it sounds better. But, I mean, man, what happened? Like, do we really need games this size right now? I mean, most games are around the 20 to 30 gig size. Like, having some of these up to in the hundreds is a little ridiculous to me. But just seeing that kind of get out of hand was kind of surprising to me too.
Well, I think the sad thing is they are compressed. That's the bad part. Oh yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, look at the size of these games, and you know, and all the environments and everything. Like, those are all assets that have to be loaded and have to get installed, and have, you know, And so I think the real scary part of all that for me is what comes up when what happens when data caps start coming and, you know, things of that nature. Then it's like, even if it doesn't matter if you're all digital or if you went and bought the disc, when you have to have a 50 gig download to play the game, you know, like, that cuts into data caps and all that stuff. That's what,
not only that, but with net neutrality going bye-bye.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
That's the thing too.
Yeah, you just stole the point that I was going to make right out of my mouth. But yeah, I mean, there's the one side of the coin where internet speeds are so fast nowadays that I don't think people think twice about sending you like a 2 or 3 gigabyte patch that, like, you're going to have to, you know, wait a couple minutes for your system to upload. But with that net neutrality coming down the pike, you know, with you know, who knows what they're going to do with those regulations. Like, you might start to see that gaming community respond very aggressively to some of the rhetoric that's going to start coming out. So that'll be interesting to see how it plays out with the rest of the generation. You know, just to kind of see what happens and how that's going to affect the next generation of consoles. Yeah, totally. Elena, what do you got?
Oh, well, man, you guys already basically touched base on all of it. Resident Evil 7 was a big surprise for me. I wasn't anticipating that game being anything at all like what it turned out to be. And it's just proof that you can take, you know, one of these precious franchises that's so highly treasured and, you know, shake it up and like do something new with it while still having, you know, like the upgrading of gear and, you know, the animal keys and in the game itself. And just, you know, I remember in the game, the animal doors, which was a huge throwback to the locks and keys of all Resident Evil games previously. But it still works and it's still new and it's still fun. And that was a game that surprised me. Another thing, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me on this, and this just might be because I'm a more casual gamer, but I did notice and this isn't Resident Evil related, but the VR, because VR was utilized well in Resident Evil 7, but the lack of VR popularization, I feel like, wasn't really as big as I thought it was going to be. I remember going to PSX, and I think it was 2015 or 2016, I can't remember, and it was just the biggest deal, and I just don't see it. And it hasn't, and I guarantee it won't get popular this gen. It just really hasn't picked up the way I thought it was going to. And I wanted to know how you guys felt about that.
I actually I agree with you, but I actually am going to spin it in a different direction. I'm surprised it's still alive at all.
Really?
Because of just the trends that it was taking about 6-7 months after PSVR hit. I thought that was going to be like the new Vita. I thought that thing was going to drop like a rock in support and be forgotten about. They're still very much releasing PSVR games, you know, in droves now, and they're still very much dedicating press conference time to those games and stuff like that. So I'm surprised the thing hasn't died off yet. So, but I do agree with you. It did not pick up the steam that it did. And as a fan of VR myself, there's still just a huge lack of compelling software there, and the limitations of the hardware that is in place currently are still holding back some of those games for being able to achieve some of the greatness. I mean, Resident Evil 7 is the coolest experience I've ever had in VR, but there's issues with that game in VR. There's cutscenes that I never got to see in that game playing it in VR because it would throw off the VR experience. You know, seeing my hands float in front of me like disembodied instead of seeing the arm and everything attached to it like you would playing outside of VR was very distracting and kind of took you out of the
doesn't that just add to the spoopiness though? Doesn't that just make it even more like, oh damn it?
No, not at all. I thought it was kind of weird. And I've played VR games where they don't do that. Like they don't detach the hands and they just kind of float there. Like you can see the arms. So I don't know why so many VR games do that. But yeah, I'm surprised that it's still a thing. I thought it would have been dead by now.
Do you think it'll be better next gen? Do you think it'll have a resurgence and it'll get popular the way we kind of anticipated it would or hoped it would this gen?
I think there will always be a niche market for it. I don't know if it will get as big as the VR industry wants it to be, but there is a niche customer base for that technology right now that seems to really dig it and experiment with it and stuff like that. I mean, the creator of Luminous is making a whole Tetris game. The Tetris game that he's always wanted to make, he's creating for VR right now. You know, I mean, you can play it outside of VR, but I mean, just things like that. Like people are always going to be interested in it, I think. But I don't know if it'll ever catch on the way we want it to. Like it's going to overtake gaming or anything like that. I doubt that's going to happen.
I don't think that happens until it's wireless. It's just not going to happen until it's.
I don't think it's going to happen at all. I think people just don't want to throw the headset on. Because I bought a new VR game a couple weeks ago. I got that Farpoint game when it was on sale during E3, and I haven't even touched the damn thing yet. Because every time I get free time, I don't want to drag the fucking headset out and hook the damn thing up again with the 100 cables I got to run across my living room. You know, I just don't feel like doing it. Even though I really enjoy VR stuff, it is really really cool. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to turn on my TV, turn on the console, and play.
Yeah, getting your neck workout in for the day. That thing seems heavy. Yeah, I remember using it.
It's actually really comfy.
Really?
Yeah.
The cushion's on the front, but it just wears my neck down. I'm like,
yeah. For me, the screen quality is not quite there yet. The games are kind of blurry looking. The motion controls on PSVR suck. They're much better on PC, but those headsets are still way too expensive. Oculus Rift is kind of affordable now, but yeah, I don't know. I just, like Zach said, I think they really need a few revisions before that thing blows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's being used for dating apps for Facebook. So, you know.
Can't wait till we get to that Demolition Man moment where everyone's having sex through VR.
Oh. I just want to know how to use the 3 shells.
Did you guys see on Twitter the videos that were trending of AX, the convention, where they were basically it was VR fucking basically did you guys see that?
I missed that. Where could I buy tickets?
It was funny to watch.
I wouldn't say I missed it, Josh.
I'm there. Sign me up.
I was gonna say. Oh, go ahead, Alina.
No, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say,
someone say something.
Wasn't it E3 last year where like a big porn company like basically had a virtual experience like on the floor where you could put the headset on and like watch one of the videos? Like, that's just kind of creepy. I think to sit there. I wanted to read an article. I thought I read an article about it.
I think it might have been CES, but yeah, it was like Pornhub or one of them like had a whole booth space so you could like they're showing their virtual tech, their VR programming.
That's so awkward. You put the headset on, like take the headset off, like realize that there's like 20 people
30
watching
people
you.
watching. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Like, hey, this is
Ooh.
a private moment between
Look at
me
the
and
reactions on
Hatsune
people's
Miku. Okay, like this is this is important to me.
watching the reactions of the people around you as you clean yourself.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna eject from this conversation right now. Just eject. Where's my eject button?
All the puns I could make, and I'm not gonna. No, besides that, just
I'm just slowly sinking off camera. Just
you guys were talking about being more multiplayer, less single player, and I was anticipating that, but not to the intensity that we experienced at this gen. And just PUBG and Fortnite and the whole just the battle royale genre, I did not see coming, and I wasn't prepared for it to take off the way it did. And I know we glossed over it real quickly, but it really is a crazy thing and how quickly it picked up.
It surprises me that with how crazy people complain about the toxicity of the environment that people game in, that multiplayer has become such a big facet of gaming now.
Now that you say that, I'm surprised that the toxicity still exists. Like, how come no one's done anything about that yet?
Blizzard's trying with the endorsement system. As somebody who's been doing it, playing Overwatch in real time the last couple of weeks, it's substantially better. I experience less toxicity on a day-to-day basis, and I'm using my mic more than ever, which is fucking sweet because my comp games are way better. I'm climbing the ranks, y'all.
Yeah, because I mean, there for a while, there wasn't a game I could play where if a female spoke on a microphone, they were getting shit on by people. It was pretty bad. I mean, last gen was really bad with that stuff.
It's going away. It's going away.
You guys think so? Because I always thought it still kind of was there.
It's still there. Don't get me wrong. Like if I start popping off, for example, if I start giving like criticism, whether it's constructive or not, I feel like it will be scrutinized a little quicker. But I do see it improving each time I play. Specifically Overwatch. I'm not playing other games, so I might be biased.
Yeah. So. I mean, I know female gamers that refuse to go on a mic because of that shit. And it's not just females either. I mean, like, how many times have I had a teenager talk about having sex with my mother, while I'm playing a game, it's just, it's crazy. And I feel like more could be done about that, but I don't know.
I think what's going to happen. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's always hard though, when you have a group of people, specifically those, I would say 15 and younger, that have an arsenal of weaponry at their disposal, which is hate speech and racist speech and vulgarities and gender bias and everything. They know they're powerful, they know they hurt people, and they have no idea about the context or how bad. And so all they know is that they can use it and it'll hurt someone, and they don't really care or understand the depth and breadth of it. And so they just throw it out there because F you, and they're 15 and they don't care, and so it's like you have this mix of adults with all of the context of this language mixed with a bunch of kids that have no idea what they're even really saying. They just know it's bad and they know it'll hurt you. And so, like, they don't care. They just don't care. And so I don't understand. I don't know how you ever legislate that.
I think it's just more competent people weighing, kind of overpopulating or being more of a presence than the kids who are like doing this, because then they'll be like, oh, wait, this isn't cool to do. I guess I'm going to knock this off, because not only am I having to worry about people quitting mid-game because I'm an asshole, but I might get banned, if I keep repeating this behavior. So if we I don't know, I just try to be a good role model, I guess. It's what I keep in mind for anybody who's around me, who's gaming, who is younger than me.
Well, I'm assuming that these games are recorded when you're playing them. Like, data is recorded from them, from servers somewhere in some capacity. If there's some kind of some way to report people when they have, I know that they have reporting systems in games, but it seems like the companies, and I'm sure they can't look up every single time this happens, but it seems like they could dig into the data and see who's doing what when a complaint pops up and have the proof, and then get rid of the damn person. Or something like that, I don't know.
Offender, something like that. Yeah.
That could be, completely difficult to do. I don't know. I'm not a game developer, but it just seems like that technology would exist to where you could prove that someone's doing that, and like, hey, once you see it happen, you're gone. I don't know.
Yeah.
Elena, you got anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think that's all I got.
All right, let's move on to our weekly
Let's-
consultation. Whoa! You got something, Zach?
Well, I was going to say real quick. You know what's not a surprise at all?
What?
Final Fantasy VII and Shenmue 3 are not out. That's not.
You're not wrong.
Next year for Shenmue for sure. Final Fantasy VII. I have no idea what's going on with that game.
Yeah, none the least surprising things.
Well, I know that there was an interview with Square during E3, and they said that it's very much in development, but they didn't want to take away from Kingdom Hearts, I guess, like the steam away from that. So that's why they didn't say anything about it. But
Kingdom Hearts took away from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, that game looks corny as hell.
Stop it! Just stop.
Leave Kingdom Hearts alone.
I'm actually gotten to. Oh, did you guys see that the team that made Einhander is doing the gummy ship portions?
I did. Yeah.
That got me on board. I am now playing that game. Like that part, that is one of my favorite PS1 games of all time. It's amazing.
That game is good.
And like that got me to be like, yeah, I'll play Kingdom Hearts for that. Just to see if these gummy ship sections are Einhander, I'm game of the year. Just done.
I'm surprised you could pronounce the name of that game because I still can't.
I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. I've just always
I think it's called an L-hander or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea.
If you say anything with enough confidence, it'll sound like it's the right way to say it.
Yeah,
that's how I've gone through my whole life. Just throw confidence out there and just pretend it's right. And most people will agree with you. It's a treasure. It really is.
Totally.
It's a valuable trait, sir.
It is.
All right, so let's move on to our weekly consultation segment. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and get mine out of the way because, guys, I barely played anything this week. So I did play a little more of Yoku's Island Express. Not a whole lot, just kind of progressed a little bit more in there. And my issues of getting stuck and having trouble trying to get to where I need to go has kind of seemed to clear up a bit because I knocked out a nice chunk of the game and I didn't really seem to have that problem anymore. I haven't got to any of the fast travel stuff you guys are talking about yet, though. But
the B lines or whatever they're called. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm progressing a lot more smoothly through that game now. But again, I have a lot more left on that one. And the only thing I want to talk about is what Fortnite's doing right now. They are they're getting ready for their season 5 that's dropping later this week. And which is another $10 they're going to get out of me. And then I just think it's cool some of the ARG stuff that they're doing in real life right now to promote that game. Like there's events going on in the map in the game where these rockets are going off and like destroying parts of the map. And there's parts of the environments that are disappearing and they're appearing in real life. Which is kind of cool, which is just proves that Epic has way too much damn money on their hands right now. So for example, there's a burger joint in part of the map, and there's like this burger with like a tongue hanging out of it that's on the sign, and all of a sudden that burger on the sign just disappeared from the game. And then like shortly after, like someone found that burger laying like in the desert in like California somewhere. like someone from Epic actually went out there and placed it out there and made it look like it disappeared from the game and appeared in real life. Yeah, and there's other things like that have cropped up that they're using to promote this, and I just think that's incredibly cool.
That's kind of fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, and people, and they're not saying anything about it. I guess people are just spotting them out in the wild, and they're doing all kinds of little cool things like that, and they're carrying on the story with the game that every season the story kind of continues, and it's the same map, but it alters, and it's like the map is kind of telling the story in a way. And I just think it's incredibly cool what they're doing with Battle Royale right now. It's the most incredibly creative thing that I've seen any of these Battle Royale games do so far. And that's part of the reason why that game is as big as it is right now. It's just extremely cool. So I've been playing more of that in my free time as well.
Do you remember when Aqua Teen Hunger Force tried to do stuff like that and everyone thought they were bombs?
Yeah, that was a different time though, man. I feel like I do remember.
Yeah, everyone thought they were like IEDs and stuff. It's like, oh, they were light brights, guys. I'm sorry.
This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
yeah, I do remember that actually. Now you mention it, Shannon, what do you got, man?
I downloaded the game off of the PlayStation Network last night because I really didn't have anything else to kind of keep me entertained, and I didn't want to play any of my Donkey Kong rabbits. So I downloaded this game called Next Up Hero. and it's a pretty interesting game. It's kind of like a cross between, I don't know, like it's like a dungeon crawler. It's got like some Diablo-esque like features where it's kind of like a diagonal like view of the map, and you get loot after killing monsters and random bosses. The levels are randomly generated like as you progress through the dungeon, and each level has its own rule when you start it. You can buy or you can purchase with in-game currency about I think you start with like 4 main characters, and you can download like another 5. But the game itself is fun. The character sets are interesting. The thing that kind of sucks is it says it's multiplayer, but what really happens is you have these, when you're going through the game, on each level, there's these echoes or like warriors that have died, and your character can resurrect them, and they kind of follow you around and they attack enemies on the screen for you. Kind of just help you kill the bigger bosses on the stage. And if you don't want to use them as extra infantry, you can actually press the X button or hold down the X button, and you can actually combine them all into like one really strong warrior that comes out to help you for like a minute. So it's got some interesting aspects to it, but right out the gate, like it has a really steep grind to get to a level where you're comfortable. It like I don't think like right out the gate I beat a stage until I maybe grinded up to level 3 or 4, and that didn't happen too fast because you die, you don't get a lot of experience. So the game was frustrating in the beginning, and some of the level designs as far as the rules that they give you like are frustrating. They have one, it's called The Sky is Falling, and basically just random crap falls on you throughout like the whole level. So you're basically always moving, always trying to shoot, and a lot of times if you choose the wrong character, like you have more of a melee style character than a shooting character, and you have to get up close to a lot of these enemies, you're a lot of times getting pummeled by the fodder as well. So those levels are frustrating. The co-op section of the game is more of you're the second player. It's only like 2 players can play on the map at the same time. The one player is the active player that can resurrect the ghosts and actually gets all the credit for doing the level. The second person is actually one of the ghosts, but you take a solid form to not confuse you as much. And you basically, anything you kill on the stage goes to the other player until they die, and then you take over as the main character and they become the ghost. So it's kind of like a tag team, like old school style, where like, when you're playing Mario with like your friend, like they basically had to sit there and watch you until you died. This is a little bit more aggressive to where you can actually contribute in some way, but you don't get any of the credit when you kill stuff. So it's kind of a bummer in that respect. It was on sale on the PlayStation Store for like $15.99. So it didn't really, I didn't really feel like it was going to hurt my pocketbook too much if I bought it and didn't like it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I might stick with it. It might be something I'll play when I don't have anything else to play, but I don't see myself being driven to go back and play it.
Okay. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, $15.99 is a lot of money for a game.
Well, I mean, like, when you got
it's funny, like on the phone, yeah, but on the console, I kind of don't think so. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Like for me, if it's an indie game, for me, $15.99 is kind of pricey.
You know what? I don't think it's pricey, but it's at a price where I will read a lot of reviews about it.
Yeah, like I think twice about buying it, because I spent $15 on Hollow Knight, and I kind of regret that one. Even though I'm a crazy minority on that game, people love the fuck out of that game, but I just did not really care for it. And to me, that was I could have got a lot of cooler other things for $15. I don't know.
So that's like my biggest fear as a gamer is just spending money and not wanting to complete or completing the game. Like that's a concern I have.
Game Pass, man. Game Pass.
I don't know. I would be I'm not as inclined to bitch because it's not $60 or $65.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that.
That's my point of reference nowadays. It's like,
yeah, like, so I mean, yeah, if I'm on my phone, like, I don't want to pay anything over $1. Like, forget that. Like, I don't know what it is about like mobile gaming, but like if it's not free, I probably will not like look at it or play it.
That's the same with me. If it's not free, I don't mess with it.
Yeah, but like on the consoles, like I would probably say if it's less than like $10, I don't think I'm really gonna get like much fun or enjoyment out of it. If it's in that $15 range, I feel like it's kind of like I shouldn't feel bad if I at least put like an hour or two into this game. I mean,
same price as going to a movie at that point.
well, that's true. That's a good way to look at it.
I mean, like, if I can get some enjoyment out of it, and especially for this podcast, if I can give up some fresh content on a game that maybe people are going to overlook, or maybe it sounds interesting to one of our listeners out there, then I'm more inclined to go at that price point than spending $60 on something and really finding out that it's not a game for me.
Yeah, understandable. Cool. Now, Elena, I am really excited to hear you talk about what you've been playing this week.
So last week I was telling you guys about my Nies because I was doing Ni no Kuni, and then what was the other game that I was playing that started with an, I can't remember. I have a bad short-term memory, but I'm playing Nioh right now, and man, this game is fun. This game is fun. This game is filling a void that I have needed filled since I beat Bloodborne, because after Bloodborne I played Dark Souls 3, and for me going from Dark Souls or going from Bloodborne to Dark Souls 3 was like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like finishing a mile, and that walk at the very end of running a mile where you're like, I'm walking now, I'm a little bored. It's a slower pace of gameplay than I was used to with Bloodborne. So it's kind of like Shannon, I remember him mentioning that his first introduction to Fire Emblem was same as mine, Fire Emblem Awakening. And that's the problem with starting with the best, is it's already beat the rest. You can't, so regardless, is what I'm saying, is that Nioh has filled that void, and it's a lot more fun than I originally thought it was going to be. And it's a perfect blend of the speeds in between Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. You know what I'm saying? Where Bloodborne's super tremendously fast paced and Dark Souls 3 is a little bit more slower and methodical. I feel like personally Nioh lands right in the middle. And it has really rewarding gameplay. And I don't know, you guys have played this, right? Like
I have.
I have.
Yeah. What do you? Yeah.
I bought the game when it first came out, and I didn't even beat the first boss.
Really?
Yeah, I got stuck on the first boss, and unlike a Dark Souls game, keep trying in that game is fun to me. In Nioh, it was not.
Really? Okay, because I'm having the opposite problem right now. Like it's for me personally, it's like Samurai Bloodborne. It's just Bloodborne with a different at least right now. I'm at the very early stages of the game, and I was joking with some of my friends about how it's like The Last Samurai. I don't. Yeah. What's up with this blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy coming to Japan? And then I realized I did some research. It's actually based on a true story. Like it's based on what's his name? William something or other. He was the first samurai, essentially. And I have never seen The Last Samurai, but I just imagine like a lone white dude in Japan just like slashing shit up, and that's what I'm doing with Nioh right now. So it kind of makes me laugh.
And I think everyone tells me that Nioh is very grindy, like much more grindy than Dark Souls is. Dark Souls, you can push through without grinding in that game. I mean, it might be a little harder, but you can totally do it, especially with the right equipment. In Nioh, I feel like the grind is sort of required, and I think that's why I struggled with it more than I did with a Souls game.
Okay.
Because I think I needed to go back, because I kind of sped through and I got to that boss. I'm just like, I kind of stopped.
I can't beat him yet.
Yeah, this is a game that I very much wanted to go back and play, and I just never did. But see, in a Souls game, if you get stuck on a boss, you can just summon help and go at it, and that'll help you get through it. And in this game, I think the ability for you to do that is there, but there was no way for me to figure out how to do it. Like I don't think I was in the ability wasn't there for me yet, and like finding the items to do so is like a significantly more difficult than it is in a Souls game. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be completely wrong. I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I like it wasn't that. It felt like, and it's funny that I'm using the word accessible with a game like this, but this game felt less accessible to me than a Dark Souls game did. Whereas, you know, the pieces that are given to me are easier to use, and I can use them earlier in those games. So I don't know, that it just didn't click with me.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from, and I do agree with you at this point in time that it could potentially be more grindy, but there's a lot of things in this game that keep it fresh for me, because initially when I first started playing, I was like, okay, this is a clone. And for me personally, that's not a good thing. When I see a game that's like a blatant clone of another game, it's an immediate turn off. I don't care how good they're copying another game. It still kind of puts me off a little bit. And but there are a lot of things in this game, a lot of like little nuanced game mechanics that make a huge difference. I don't know if you remember the stance system, but like you can stand at a high stance and a mid stance and a low stance, and it makes a huge difference depending on how you choose to fight, how quickly you want the battle to end, how fast you know, like how strong you want your blows to be, things along those lines. And then you combine that with the various weapons in the game, and it just keeps things really fresh, at least for me.
Yeah, but you also had that, I forgot what was it called, key or whatever.
Yeah, it was like the key pulse. Yeah,
key pulse, where like it kind of reminded me of active reload from Gears of War. To where you had to hit it like the right moment in order for you to like recover some of your stamina or whatever. And that kind of got on my nerves. I didn't like that too much. And like you said, with the stances, to me that complicated the combat too much for me.
Okay. Because there were times when I like change positions or change stances mid gameplay, like mid fight, and it kind of, it wasn't as rhythmic as I wanted to be, or as smooth. And I think that's what the key pulse is for, to kind of keep the rhythm going. But to be honest, I think it's something you can ignore if you choose. It's just something that you should choose to utilize. If you do it properly, I feel like, and this was their intention. I'm not sure if it's going to hit the mark yet, just because of how early I am in the game. But I think it's supposed to keep the pace of the battle going, you know, by keeping your stamina up, so you can keep, you know, doing that fast paced type of battle that's more reminiscent of Bloodborne. That's a good bit faster. But I don't know if I'm good enough to beat this game. This is one of those games where it's challenging and difficult, but it's because it's not too difficult. It's skill based. You know what I'm saying? So if I don't beat this game, I know it's going to be because I suck, and not because they made a game that's too difficult.
Yeah, and that's why I like From Software's take on this. I mean, they kind of created this sort of subgenre of action game, but like they put the pieces in place there that even if you suck at this game, like there's help there for you. I mean, there's even equipment loads that you can get that kind of make the game easier if you want to like put in the effort to figure that out. But also with the Souls games is that I feel like there's more in place to aid the player. They might not be aware of it at first, but it's there. And I felt like Nioh didn't really have that stuff. Like it kind of stripped it away from you. And that's what that Sekiro game that they have coming out. That's like the successor to Dark Souls or whatever from Software. Like apparently they're going that direction too, and that makes me a little concerned about it. But I mean, yeah, if you get stuck in Bloodborne, you can get help in that game, you know, and it was great. And I think you can in Nioh too, but it's not quite as easy.
It's not the same, yeah. And then there's something along the lines of the first thing I opened, because I don't know, I told you guys last podcast, I don't know if anybody heard, but I only spent 20 on this game. I can't imagine spending 60 on it. And I was surprised to hear that this game was released in 2017. I thought it was an older game. Not to say it hasn't aged well, because it looks fine. It looks great. Don't get me wrong. I was just kind of surprised that a game like that had decreased in price so quickly, because it wasn't exclusive, right?
No.
Was it it came out for PC as well?
It came out for PC, but it was
not Xbox, right? Okay,
no,
okay, yeah.
Xbox. Yep.
All right. I also heard that this was supposed to be based on a Kurosawa film. Did you guys hear anything about that? Like back in like the mid 2000s, it was supposed to be based on like a film that was yet to be released or something like that.
I do not know.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This one came and went off my radar pretty fast. Just I played the demo and I really liked it, but then I think when it came out was right when I was hitting the end of my Dark Souls 3 phase, and I didn't want more of it. You know, I was done at that point. Okay. And so it's been a game that kind of been on my radar to get back to, though. I really enjoyed that first level, because they essentially released the entire first level as a demo.
I see. Okay.
And I thought it was great.
Combat's really rewarding, man. Like it's something where it's one of those games where I look at the clock and I'd be like, oh, it's been 2 hours, you know? So I
But also, I'm not like a Souls snob like Josh is. Like, I like Lords of the Fallen. Like, I like these type of games. You know that it doesn't have to have From Software on it for me to make it.
For sure. It just has to be good. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And I'm not, and I will never say that Nioh is a bad game. Like I honestly didn't play enough of it to determine if I think it sucks. And I don't think it sucks at all. I think for me, when I went into it, and Zach's right, like I kind of went into it, like after finishing Dark Souls 3 not too long ago and stuff like that. And I was playing stuff like The Surge and stuff. And so I this came to me and it just didn't give me the experience that I got from games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne. But at the same time, I felt like the game was a bit more complex than I was expecting. And I feel like I didn't give it enough time to really learn it. And if I did, like if I shut myself off from all other video games and I forced myself to play this and this only and really learn it, I might like it a lot more than I did.
Yeah, it's something where the more I practice this dance system and the more I learn about ki and honing that and being a little more focused on, I guess, the rhythm of the battle, the more I'll enjoy it. As long as I put the time in, it's going to get better. I know it.
Yeah, like the Yakuza games have a stance system too. You can change your stances up and it changes how you attack. But in that game, like they don't force you to use it in certain situations. Like, I mean, there are like situations where it's better if you use one over the other, but it's not going to like cripple you if you don't. To where I felt like with Nioh, like you had to kind of use the right ones, or if sort of like a rock paper scissors kind of situation. Like if you use the wrong one in the wrong situation, then you're going to fail miserably. To where something like in Yakuza is more of a preference than it was a requirement. Just my 2 cents.
Interesting.
Yeah, for sure, man.
All right, Zach, what have you been playing this week, man?
Just more Jurassic World Evolution. Shannon did give me Detroit, but I just haven't had the time to play it since. But it is in my possession, so I am excited to get moving on that this week. Hopefully, I will be able to talk about that experience by next week's show. But man,
it's not a long game at all, man. So you can, I mean, if you get the time to play, I mean, you can wrap it up in 6-7 hours.
That's what I've heard.
My way after you're done.
No, it's longer than that. I would say probably 8-9 hours.
I've heard 6 to 8 is what people and I've read a couple places. So I think I could probably do that in a week.
It's still my game of the year, man. Still is.
Well, it's awesome.
I'll put it this way: you saying that got me to play it. Because it really wasn't on. It was one of those like, David Cage. I know his stuff. That's fine. But then when you were like, no, this is like game of the year material. It was like, okay.
It's the same way. Like I like David Cage games, but I none of them are even remotely close to like amazing games. I would say.
Sure.
And that in Detroit is literally that game for me. Like it spoke to me. So
gotcha.
I hope you like as much as I did.
And then, but yeah, man, the Jurassic World Evolution, it's really good. I mean, I talked about it in detail.
Here we go.
I talked about it in detail last week, but there's just little things are starting to become major annoyances. The game, it blue shells you, to use a Mario Kart reference. Like anytime you get too far ahead is right when your meat eaters are going to break through 3 levels of electric fence and start killing people that will sue you. And so now you're losing massive amounts of money per minute instead of gaining money. It's little things like that. What's the other one? Oh, and the biggest annoyance I have is so you're managing 5 islands, right? There's a park on each island. Now, if you do fossil research, you can open that research on any island. If you research out buildings or other upgrades, they're applicable on every single island. The money I make on one island, I cannot transfer to another island. There's the money is not going into just a general pool, and it is the biggest amount of. There's no reason why that would be the case. Like I'm in this, my business. It's all my money. Like why can't I just spend the money? It's like,
yeah.
Now here's a question, Zach. In this game, can you? So each island is a park. You said, right?
Yes.
So if you could you make each island like a different type of dinosaur? Like, so could you make one like herbivores and one carnivores and one So like, I mean, you could just have like Death
becomes,
Island and
yeah, that becomes easier to do once you start unlocking things. Because initially, see, to get the next island unlocked, you have to raise your current island to a 3-star ranking, which is, you know, that there's a lot of qualifiers into that. It's population of visitors, variety of dinosaurs, blah blah, so on and so forth. And so, once you have things unlocked, you can go then do that, because then your variety of dinosaurs and things like that don't really come into play unless you're trying to get the achievements for getting 5 stars and things of that nature. But yeah, so I have one island right now that's essentially all the meat eaters.
Mhm.
And then I have one island that is the small one with all the velociraptors on it, because screw those people. You knew what you signed up for if you went to Velociraptor Island, you know? Like, it's one of the, yeah. It also is one that has some of the worst storms. So it's like, why is anyone here? Like, what are you people insane? I don't. It's nothing but 6-foot tall cheetah speed meat eaters with broken fences. Oh, in a monsoon. Like, yeah. Why
The
were
locals
why are
call
you
it
here?
Masochist Island.
Yeah, totally. It's like Picadillo Island, you know? Like, why is anyone here? But yeah, no, it's but it's really good. I'm still don't regret my purchase in any way. It's a super fun game. But I'm hitting the point where I'm ready to actually play something that isn't a park sim. Well, we were talking about before we started recording. I've hit the point now where to do anything in the game is like 2 hours.
Ugh.
Where, you know, any like mission you need to complete or something, it's a hour to 2 hour investment for anything. And it's just like, well, I think I'm done here. Like, I don't have the time to put in, and that would be great if I was 25 with no kids and I came home after work and played this for 6 or 7 hours a day. That'd be rad. But I don't have that bandwidth anymore. It's just not happening. So yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Gotcha. All right, so let's move on to our week in review segment. And as we wrap up out of here for this week, Elena, you've been eating some Korean barbecue, I hear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have you guys ever had Korean barbecue? I don't know about you, Josh, because do they have anything in Ohio? Do they have anything cool out there?
We got cheeseburgers in Ohio.
Dude, I knew it, man. So I haven't told you guys this. Go ahead.
Do you know a good place to get bibimbap around here? Because I've been looking. That's
Roll House on Stevens Creek. go to like immediately. I lived in a certain area of the Bay for a while that had a lot of like Korean places. So I know, don't get me wrong, I don't know the best of the best, but I have my favorites picked out. And I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you guys know about Jen, but I'm still big on Jen. It's basically an all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue place where you can just get a plethora of different meats, and you know, it's pretty simple, it's pretty linear, but it's just delicious, man. There's an item there that I will never call it by its correct name. It's apparently Hawaiian steak, but I always call it pineapple steak because all I want is the little pineapple that comes with it, because I didn't have grilled pineapple for the first time until I went there. So maybe there's an affection for that place simply because of that experience and that nostalgia. But I always over grill it too, and it's the best taste in the world, just like grilled pineapple. I had no idea. So
it's one of those places where you kind of go to like a buffet and you it's like noodles and all kinds of different meats and veggies, and you kind of put what you want in it and then they fry it up for you.
No,
that's
quite.
Mongolian barbecue.
Okay, because we have places like that here.
And
that's
those places are good.
Like.
Yeah, no, you basically sit down, there's a grill in the center of your table, and then you order meats. They bring you can order up to 4 different meats. They bring you all 4, usually at the same time, hopefully. And then you just go nuts. And oftentimes I'll go with my boyfriend, and he'll cook and I'll cut, or vice versa, because you have to cut the meat, because otherwise you're gonna be eating a fat slab of just like steak or brisket or whatever it ends up being. So it's fun with your food. So it's something I really enjoy, you know. Plus you get to cook, and then there's that rewarding experience of like, oh, I cooked this meat tastes so good. You can lie and say you're responsible for it, because I'm not responsible for that delicious marinade, come on. But yeah, it's a fun experience. And
But yeah, Josh, if you haven't been finding some Korean food in your life, you need to fix that. Korean food is really good.
Yeah.
Does it taste like all other Asian food?
Well, considering Japanese food tastes nothing like Chinese food, I don't really know what you mean.
I still think it probably does from what I've had, though.
I think it's
maybe the Ohio version of both.
Yeah,
but
that could very well be correct. Yes,
I've heard from relatives out there who basically it kind of all tastes the same based on what's being cooked, and it's unfortunate because that's one of the reasons we pay some of the highest rent in the country. You really get that authenticity when you're.
True.
It's the reason I'll continue to live out here. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but the culture, the people, and then my God, the food is the reason I will work my hardest to stay in the Bay Area, because it's expensive and it's costly, but it's really rewarding to live out here, especially for the food, you guys. And I know Jen's a little generic in NorCal, and there are, more obscure Korean places I could give reference to, but let's not lie. Jen is delicious, yo. But yeah, besides that, I got to see the groomsmen side. My boyfriend's part of, what's it called when it's not bridesmaids but groomsmen, right?
Groomsmen.
Yeah. So I got to see that whole experience for picking out suits, and now that I've been on both sides, I've witnessed bridesmaids picking out their dresses, and I've witnessed now groomsmen picking out their suits. One was a 4.5-hour endeavor, and the other was a 45-minute endeavor. And it was over before I dressed up all nice. I was getting ready to meet people and like rub elbows, and then everybody tried their suit on, and then they just fucked off. They were like, bye. And I was like, but I want to see some more suits. Where's the montage? Like, where's the pinstripe suits? Where's the purple prints? Like, come on, give me something. Like, they just tried on their suits and they were done.
No one was fighting over the suits. No one was backstabbing people over suits. It was great.
I would say that that's inaccurate if that wasn't exactly what happened when I was involved with the bridesmaids the first time around.
That happened with my wife too. So
it's just so unfortunate, man. Like, I will do my best if I ever get married not to be a bridezilla. You guys can wear whatever you want. You want to wear a dress, wear a dress. You want to wear a suit, wear a suit. Whatever you want.
I'm pretty sure when I picked out my tux and everything, and all the groomsmen went with me for my wedding, I think we were there like 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, this is the kind of suit I want, and these are the colors. And they're like, how about this? I'm like, cool, measure me. And I was out of there.
That is exactly what happened too. And I really was expecting a montage that I didn't get. So it was a bitter disappointment. I got to see my boyfriend in a suit though. So that was worth it. It was worth the 30 seconds I got to see him in a suit, because that is, dude, a man in a suit, you guys, it's just so nice.
Well, soon you'll get to see him for a whole day in it. So.
Da, 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 da. Wait, is that right? I always get them confused.
No, you got it.
Yay.
You got it. The other one is for graduations, but
same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing at the end of the day. I'm just graduating. No, to be honest, I don't know a lot about getting married. I was raised with a single dad, so I'm learning so much through this process, just about the whole. And I'm at the age where all my friends are getting married as well, so I'm learning. I'm learning every day. I think I told you guys this, that the wedding ring and the engagement ring are two different rings. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I get 2 rings. That's cool.
You just do what my wife did, just fuse the 2 together into 1 ring.
That's cool. I want to do a fusion dance with my ring.
And the thing is, one costs a ton of money, and the other is $99 on Amazon. So,
Yep. And guess which one you're buying? Yeah.
I want them both. I'll pay for both, but I want them both.
Yeah. Man. I hated planning our wedding. I thought it was a nightmare. Like, it just wasn't fun. It was stressful. Very stressful.
It's a great test to see if you could be married, because you will go through a lot of big conversations that half of them are fruitless. Like they lead into arguments and hurt feelings, and it's like, can you survive this? And it's like, that's how in the end of the day, I ended up looking at it like, if I can get through this was worth it. Aww. And to this day, throughout me and my wife's relationship, our wedding was the most stressful. We have 2 kids and have bought in 2 houses. Our wedding was the most stressful thing we've ever done.
Wow. I think it's all that event coordination. You know what I mean? It sounds difficult. It sounds like being stuck in an IKEA with your significant other for 9 to 12 months. Well, like it's just perpetually that. Yeah. While you're planning.
See, we cheated, and we started going down the route of planning the wedding, and we ended up going to the courthouse and eloping. So
That's the
See-
badass. That's
Yeah.
badass. That's
See,
cool.
what I wanted to do, and my wife wasn't down for it because most women want like their fairy tale wedding and all that
Sure,
stuff,
sure.
like they've dreamed of when they're a girl. I
Mhm.
wanted to go to Vegas and go to one of those like chapels where like Elvis marries you. Like,
yeah,
as a
that would have been awesome.
I want to do it just like as a joke because I
Just
never
do
take-
that as the honeymoon, like compromise and do it twice, essentially. Like the real
have
wedding and
sex
then the
with
Elvis. Is that what you wanted for your honeymoon? Is that what's going down?
I mean, it's what stays in Vegas happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. No, but yeah, I mean, I never take anything serious. Like I'm always goofy about everything, and that's what I wanted my wedding to be like. I wanted to be funny, and just and memorable and goofy. And no, she wanted the real thing, so that's what we did.
Well, not shocking that your wife didn't want her wedding day to be goofy.
Or in front of Elvis. I mean, I get it. I would be a little overwhelmed too if I was getting married in front of Elvis. I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yeah.
No, but that's it for me. I was just having fun this week.
Zach, what do you got, man?
Man, just we kind of talked about everything I did this week. I have a real bad leg, so I didn't get out much, and did the Pokemon thing, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah, the leg has been limiting me, so
Meniscus that physical activity behind.
Zach's like, ow, my leg hurts so bad. Oh, hey, Pokemon Go, let's go to the park.
You can ask Shannon. It was a lot of me driving while they walked.
Oh,
Like, yeah, it was. Yeah, like I did not do a lot of walking. So yeah, I had an experience I wanted to talk about. Well, me and Shannon were waiting to order lunch at the Habit. There was a kid behind the counter who was taking order, and he was, like kind of a roly-poly kid, maybe 17, 18.
you see a roly-poly kid?
Yeah.
Like he's fat.
Soft?
You're saying the kid's fat.
In a nice, cute way.
But he was
Nice fat.
he wasn't fat. He was like husky.
Yeah,
Like
Are you fat shaming the poor bellboy or whatever?
Nope.
the hell his name is?
no, the kid, the burger place taking my order. And he was like, "Hey, I like your tattoos." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks, dude." And then he was just like, "Yeah," like really.
Uh-oh.
Anything.
Oh no, dude, don't do that.
Hey, we lost you there for a second, man.
Sorry. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You want to start it real quick?
Yeah. So, where did I leave off?
You saw the roly-poly dude saying you had good tattoos.
and so he was like, "Hey man, I like your tattoos." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he's like, "Yeah, so the other night I gave myself one with a guitar string and India ink." And I was just like, and I'm like, no.
This habit got dark real quick.
Yeah, and he was just like super intensely staring at me while he was saying, and I'm having this like, what do you think is going to happen now? I'm going to be like, sweet high five, bro. We're going to be best friends. Like there was like this weird, like super weird vibe all of a sudden. And I was just like, and honestly, I felt awful because I didn't hide my initial reaction, which was like, no, you shouldn't have done that.
Oh, did you say that out loud?
Yeah, like that was like what I said out.
No,
and he was just
kids like you need to hear that.
And he was just like, I'm like, well, the good thing those are really easy to remove with laser, and you can probably cover up whatever you did when you get something good later. And as I'm speaking, I'm like, I am crushing this kid. I am crushing. Why? I stopped talking. Stop talking. You were just destroying this kid, like for no reason. It was just one of those things where I couldn't get out of my own way fast enough. But like, I still feel guilty about it.
So you fat shamed him and you insulted his tattoos.
I think if anything, man, you just inspired him. He's probably had so many people in his life who are just like, yeah, cool. He just needed one person to be like, oh shit, oh. Anyway, when I like how you said when you get something good, you know what I mean? It's inspiring him for his future. I actually like that story. It's kind of inspirational. Although his initial reaction was probably like, "Oh shit, this tattoo fucking sucks."
Yeah, that was the thing. It was like, buddy, I hope. Like, I mean, luckily it wasn't on his hands or neck or face or anything. I mean, but it was still just like, man. So if any kids are out there listening, don't do that. I know it sounds like an awesome idea now. You watched all the YouTube videos.
You think you can do it.
You think you can do it. You can't.
It's
Don't
sterilized. It doesn't matter.
do not do that. Like, just wait till you're old enough. Go see an artist that you really, really like. Don't just go to the first shop you see. Actually look at the artist. Look at their body of work. Make sure the shop is good and clean. Then go get something good. Go get something that you like.
And cheaper does not mean better, my friends. Cheaper does not, in this case, mean better. So definitely shop. Get ready to spend some skrill.
Yeah, but
that would explain why my hamburger was a little salty, because he was probably crying into it.
All the tears.
He's at home with like a cheese grater on his arm.
I was gonna say, I was right after Zach, and like that dude was so dejected, like taking my order. I was just
don't say that. You're making that up.
Yeah, I was.
I don't need salt on my fries.
He was super oblivious to the world. He was just like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And I was like, "Hey, I want my burger."
Yeah, he was kind of a unique individual to begin with, but man,
he's gonna grow up to be a fine young man with some dope ass tattoos. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Or maybe that was just the first in a string of bad decisions.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go back to the casual optimism. Let's do that.
I know that kind of tarnishes what I'm about to say. So.
Oh no! all right. Hold on. Let me get situated. Okay, destroy my dreams.
Elaine needs to distract me. Wait, hold on.
No, it's just simple. I mean, over the past month, I would say in my professional life, I have been dealing with a lot of negative stuff, and it's affected my work ethic when it's come time to do some of the things that I was a little bit more confident in my day-to-day work practice. I've been doing this for 10 years, but it's kind of something that applies to everything that you go through on a daily basis, and it's just the people in the world. Everybody's got their own strengths and their own weaknesses. Nobody's perfect. If you excel in one thing, that's great. And I just think it's up to you to spread the type of ethic and I guess environment that you want to promote. You can't just let everybody else do it. So the attitude and the demeanor that you reflect is, definitely going to affect other people, and it could be negative or positive. So I would say, just in general, on a weekly perspective, try to do something good, or try to help somebody else out. Nobody's, everybody's got their own skill set. And you don't know what that other person is going through. They might have that bad. They might just be going through a bad day where they have like a low self-esteem about something. The one thing I have to say to those people is, maybe just stop and take a look and see who's around you. And maybe it's not that you have low self-esteem. Maybe it's just that you're surrounded by assholes. So, just, yeah. So, I mean, just keep your head up, stay positive. You are,
you're loved.
Yeah. I mean, for the lack of a better word, I mean, you're an individual that has skills, that has has something of value, and that's nothing to shrug your shoulders at.
Nope.
So, I mean, if it's one thing, just keep your head up. Times are tough. Things suck, but they get better. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's people there to support you. You just gotta find them.
Don't jump off that ledge, my friend. Third eye blind.
Yeah.
I'd splice that in during that conversation if I would get sued for it.
Just keep that PMA all day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. No, it's like what Zach and I were talking about earlier about just like kind of being a role model when it comes to like those jerk asshole kids who are going off the deep end, when they're on comms. Just like be a role model, like lead by example. Don't be afraid to like kill them with kindness. You know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times that's worked for me. And even if you're not happy, smiling is kind of contagious, and it's something that's helped me out through really rough times. So if you can manage to force a smile, it'll eventually become real. And if you're sick of smiling, then fucking cry. You're entitled to that. Every human is entitled to that. So, but just like Shannon said, keep your head up, yo.
Inspirational hour here on That Pixel Life.
Heck yeah. So we got the Pokemon, we got the inspo. We're hitting all the bases.
The Korean BBQ.
Yeah.
We hit all the spectrums tonight, man.
Heck
Got
yeah.
it all.
The cannon is here to rocket you into the stratosphere of positivity.
We got a compliment cannon
Oh,
this
man.
week, y'all. We got a compliment cannon.
You know what?
You're nice, and you have a nice suit, and I like your hair today. Did you get your nails done?
I'm back in negative land, Shannon. You crashed.
Put him there.
Put me back there.
You should be an inspirational speaker and go by the name The Cannon. That would be great.
Oh, that would be awesome, dude.
You're going to leave the elevator business and become a motivational speaker.
Oh,
The
dude,
cannon.
yeah, dude. I've left the world of elevators to lift you up in a different way.
Oh yes, yes,
dude! Oh my god!
Yes,
Zach,
I love the
the
frustration on
picture of
Zach's
Zach
face
right
right
now
now.
is palpable.
He's so
It hurts. It just hurts.
Love it. It hurts so good. Yes.
For me this week, like my son has seemed to catch the part of my personality that I least expected him to catch, and he seems to be becoming a little movie buff.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean he's still a little young for video games, and I don't really play video games in front of him, so he hasn't really seen me play those. But I have tried to get him to play something, and he didn't really catch on. But he loves movies now. This kid is like that's all he wants to do when he's at home. Like I got a nice little Blu-ray collection for him, and I got all these digital movies, and he has all these favorites now, and he knows them by name, and he recites dialogue from them. Like it's pretty awesome. So this is like the thing that we do together usually, because there's a lot of days on the weekend where my wife has to work, so I'm staying at home with him, and we will sit and watch movies. I'll take him to Best Buy, and we'll go buy some movies, and that's the cool thing about kids movies is that when you purchase a kids movie, you get your money's worth out of a Blu-ray for a kids movie.
Yeah.
Your kid will watch
1,000 times
over and over again. I bought a movie and I watched it once, and I will probably not watch it again until like 10 years later. That's usually what happens.
If ever.
Yeah, if ever. Yeah, it just sits on the shelf and collects dust. My kid, I mean, I bought him so this weekend I bought him both of the Hotel Transylvania movies.
Are those any good?
Yeah,
I've heard good things about him.
Yeah, the third one's coming out, and he saw the previews on TV, and he wanted to see it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go get you the first two. They were inexpensive. It was like $15 for the 2-pack. And I got the digital copies and everything. And I sat down and I watched both of them with him this weekend. And he has already watched each of those at least 6 times.
Wow.
Like in like a 4-day span. Like he watched it, like yesterday, he watched them both twice in one day. Like that's just, he loves to watch movies.
So does he watch them in one sitting just out of curiosity, or does he have to take breaks? Like I've always wondered about that.
Sometimes he will get up and kind of not pay attention to it a little bit, and then he'll sit back down. Usually the first time he watches the movie, he's pretty content. Like he'll sit there and watch it and not make a peep, but not all the time. It still hasn't got to that point to where I'm comfortable taking him to a movie theater yet. But next year is probably going to be the year for that. He's a massive Toy Story fan, and Toy Story 4 comes out next summer, and I think that's going to be the perfect movie to take him to.
Do go to a movie before you do that. Like,
think so?
Burn that first one on a movie that you do not care if he bails on. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah, I remember that advice.
Because I'll tell you, when we took, I think it was Finding Dory was Jonathan's first movie. It was, the experience of the theater was overwhelming. You know, like, because and it's something I didn't even think about until I was there. He's never seen a screen that big. He never hears things that loud. You know, like the being just in that format was like almost too much. So I would say get him used to the format with another movie before taking him to a movie you actually want him to watch.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the actual process of the movie theater can be a little too much.
Yeah, but see, that's my problem is that if I'm going to pay for the money, I want to see the movie too. So it's like I'm kind of waiting to where I don't have to like keep walking out of it or something to like chase him around or something and then like embarrass myself.
Just look at Toy Story being really expensive. That's all. You know, you're paying for 2 movies to see one. It's just, and I mean, odds are he probably is going to stick with it because Jonathan was a little overwhelmed and he had to like get up and leave, but it was only for 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, like he wanted to go back and watch it, but he just had to kind of like, in his 3-year-old way, collect himself. You know, and until he was ready to deal with it again. So,
yeah, I thought about easing him in because we have like a budget theater that's only like $3 to see a movie.
Yeah,
like the movies are a little older. I thought about easing him in because like no one goes to those and they're always like dead. So I thought maybe that might be, but the seats are uncomfortable and the screen's a piece of shit and there's like a rip in it and stuff like that. So I don't know.
But he won't care.
Yeah, he probably won't care. The last time I went to that theater, there was a cricket in there, and the cricket was just chirping the entire time. It was driving me nuts. Yeah, it was pretty funny if I think back on it. But yeah, the Hotel Transylvania movies, like I just thought it was the Adam Sandler crew doing their stupid shit, So I was just like, I don't care. But he really wanted to watch them, and I sat down and watched them. I actually enjoyed them. Like they're not very well written, but they mean well. Like in their message, and they're entertaining enough to where I still enjoyed watching them, and I actually wouldn't mind seeing the third one. So yeah, they're not terrible kids movies at all. He's really into like Halloween stuff right now. Like he loves The Nightmare Before Christmas. He just got into that, which I was surprised that he liked because I thought that'd be too scary for him. But he saw the copy on our shelf because I owned it already, and he insisted on watching it, and so I let him, and he's already watched it like 6 or 7 times. So yeah, he's really into Halloween stuff and like monsters, like and stuff like that. So that's why I went with Hotel Transylvania, and he really did enjoy them, and they're fun. They're fun movies.
My favorite observation that Jonathan did with Nightmare Before Christmas, because that's Steph's brother's like all-time favorite movie. He has tons of ridiculous nightmare shit in his house and blah blah blah. But so Halloween time comes and he wants to show Jonathan Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's like okay, and my favorite observation Jonathan made was like, why does Sally like Jack? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I'm thinking we're gonna have the super awkward, like they don't look the same conversation or anything, something along those lines, Yeah. And he's like, Jack's mean to her, like all the time. Why does she like him? And I'm like,
you raising that boy right. You raising that boy right.
And I was just like, that is an amazing. I've never thought about that myself. And then I'm looking back at the movie. I'm like, yeah, he's a total jerk. Like throughout that whole movie to her. Like,
wow,
he's kind of a jerk to everyone in that movie. Yeah, he's kind of self-centered, and he fucks over Santa Claus and Christmas. And I watching that movie now, I don't really care for that movie as much as I used to back in the day.
It was a really cool looking movie, I think.
I think the music kind of sucks in that movie. Like, I just think the lyrics aren't very good, and it's just the songs aren't very catchy. I'm sure people are arguing with me right now over the internet. Like they're getting their tweets ready to direct towards me, but I really don't care for the music in that movie. And to me, the effect just kind of wore off, and I just don't really care for it anymore. But he loves it.
That shit was baller in like 1994.
Yeah,
like, that's the thing is like when that movie came out, I had never seen anything like it. Like, and that sticks for a lot of people. I think it's really, but I mean, we're talking, if you want to talk stop motion, Coraline runs circles around that movie. Kubo is so much better than both those movies put together. Like Kubo and Two Strings is amazing. And none of them get the run that Nightmare does, they don't.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just listening to these songs. I'm like, man, these songs are kind of poorly written, and I'm just not feeling it. And I don't know. And I used to love that movie, and now I'm just looking at it in a completely different light. But it doesn't matter. My kid loves it. So yeah. I mean, that's my wife is going out of town this week. She's going out for 4 days, and I'm going to have him by myself for 4 days. So
you boys gonna get wild.
Yeah, gonna hit up the titty bar, and but I'm probably going to go buy a stack of movies, and we're just going to watch a bunch of movies.
That's awesome.
So I bought him The Good Dinosaur recently too. We watched that one. That one was okay.
That's
sad.
That's
a sad movie.
It's worth a watch, but it's definitely there's no Coco, that's for sure.
Get the Book of Life, man, and then do your comparison against Coco.
Yeah, I should probably do that at some point.
I still need to see Coco.
Yeah, I watched it this week, and it's on Netflix for free right now.
Yeah, I got to get on that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Absolutely. All right, guys, so let's get out of here for the week, and let's get a little reminder that don't forget to hit us up on Twitter. You can get me at JD Falky. You can get Zach at Zackle. There we go. It's consistent every fucking week. ZAKAL is Zackle. That's where you can get Zach on Twitter. Shannon is SHMore0317, and Elena is Honey Baked Hella. And then you can get all of us collectively at That Pixel Life. So follow us there. Don't forget to drop us some iTunes reviews if you guys don't mind. We'd greatly appreciate it. And you can also hit us up on Twitter, send us some DMs, give us some feedback. We also have a email address now that you guys can send feedback to, which is support@thatpixellife.com. So you can send them that way as well. And don't forget to spread this podcast to your friends and family. Hopefully they'll enjoy it as much as you do. So thank you guys so much for being here this week again with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Elena, thank you. Thank you.
Zach,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, guys, we are out of here for this week. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week and have an awesome weekend.
You bet your bippy.
Yeah.